All right, welcome back. So let's get into our discussion today. Before we took a break, I think, Senator Mugatana, there's something you were saying. You wanted to rebuttal on what DG said? Yes. Go ahead.
What Mheshimiwa Deputy Governor has said, to a large extent, is true.
Yes.
But you see, the presidency in Kenya, and I've studied a lot about the presidency, like in the US, the various presidents who have come, there are very many books that have been written about what type of presidency this kind of office holder did. Now, some people come in and they are very quiet people, and they do their things from their office.
Yeah.
Some people are very outgoing, and they do their things from out there. This is the kind of thing that Kenyans must start accepting, that the character you are voting into office could be very assertive, and their characters...
It's about the personality.
The personality thing. So I needed to say this, that, and it seems to follow a certain pattern, that when you have a very assertive person, the next person seems to be, of course it's not perfect, but the next person seems to be less assertive. And then you'll have a very assertive person and then less assertive. But I think, personally, it's not a bad thing that somebody is out there. The only thing that needs to be there, according to me, is a balancing. If you have a president who is very outgoing, we should have a deputy president who is very office-oriented so that he can get hold of things. If you have a governor who is always out there pushing things, you should have a deputy governor who is also in the office getting hold of the staff and making sure paper is moving. So either way, you can have a successful presidency or a governorship if you're working closely with your partner. So there's a point the deputy governor here is making. But from my side, it is how you execute your work. If you know yourself that you are a person who is always out there, then you need another strong person to be in the office so that your things don't get stuck.
Yeah.
But I think from where I sit, I have watched the president, even when he's out there, making those calls that are for office. For example, you meet, there's a problem with the roads, there's a problem with the power or whatever, the agriculture issues, and members, we have gone to see him as members of that area, and we tell him, you know, we need this and that, and he is a person who is hands-on. He will call the minister, he will call the PS, so it's like the office moves with him. So I don't think really there's a very big disadvantage, but in general, from me, from my perspective, if I know myself to be outgoing, I would have a quiet person.
Okay.
Or if I know myself to be quiet, I would have a person who is very outgoing to push.
Based on that, Senator, somebody will say that there will be no difference between politicking and going out and launching development projects, for example. In one of the stories, somebody will say that 2.5 years later, we are still seeing the same trend that was there, even before elections. The campaign mood. So somebody will say, that's a normal thing. Instead of somebody would argue and wait for the deputy president or for the president to appear in certain exclusive events to give a national kind of a direction, rather than traversing the country a week on end, you know. That would, somebody would argue that that's a campaign mood. You're putting the country in a campaign mode all year through.
Correct. And maybe, Victor, you're right. But let me tell you now, as a person from Tana River.
Go ahead.
The president came there and made 4 stopovers. In one of the stopovers, the last president who was there was 44 years before this new president, this Ruto came. The other 3 places, there has never been a president who has visited those areas. So let me tell you what the president was doing when he goes there. William Ruto will start by saying, I want to apologize for the first president, for the second president, for the third president, for the fourth president. On behalf of all of them, I say sorry because we never visited this place before. And people would cheer him. Let me tell you, we really appreciated to see His Excellency the President there. So that issue of limited appearance notwithstanding, this person, when he is there in person, the people are happy. The people are, joyous because they can identify with what he's doing. And he's able to explain, you see, I have come here because I'm launching this water project. Tana River, we are planning to make it a breadbasket of this country. We have allocated 400 million for this irrigation project. We are launching this and that and that. And the people appreciate that for the first time, there is a guy who came after the election, who came after he asked our votes, who came to ask us how we are doing, who came to say thank you. And for us, that is very important. Even just to come and say thank you. In Tana River County, a lot of politicians I know have been punished because after elections, they never went back to say thank you. And they are also not seen. It is a fact that if you don't keep visiting, the members will punish you. So there's a delicate balance between what you are saying. I see what you're saying, that, okay, let's have limited appearances so that when he comes, he makes a big announcement. Or should we have all this? It becomes too normalized. That's why I'm saying it's the style of the guy in the office. For us, I'll tell you, for us, it's going to work for his advantage. The people in Tana River, many of them are going to vote for him because they feel they can touch him, they can identify. So if somebody else says it's better to operate from Nairobi and he can still win, that's his politics.
That's again. Mheshimiwa Karoli, this actually comes back to your doorstep because it happened not a few days, actually 2-3 days ago in your home time. What really happened there? Because now we really want to get, if the president goes out there, makes some of these pronouncements, what is maybe one or two things that you can easily put your finger on and say, this one never kicked off, but now that the president made such kind of pronouncement, you're so sure they're going to kick off, and probably during a particular period of time directed by the president, you're going to see some change.
Thank you. Let me begin by saying this. This was the second time the president was visiting Suba in less than a year.
Yes.
We actually had him visit us for the first time on October 6th last year. And during that visit, we were able to get the first ring road, though Maram, in Mfangano Island. And it was the first time a president of Kenya had set foot in Mfangano Island.
Same as Tana River?
The last time a senior person was in Mfangano Island was Thomas Joseph Mboya, when he went there in 1968 to try and do a ring road on the island of Mfangano. And it never happened. So on that visit last year, the president was able to launch the first ring road, Maram Road, around Mfangano Island. And then we came to the mainland, and for the first time, the Sindo, Karungu, Magunga, Sindo, Mbita Road, the tamaking was launched, the first tarmac road in Suba South constituency ever. And also, importantly, it was the second time we were having a president in Suba. The last one was President Moi in 1996. Now, this time round, we did stop over in Rusinga Island. Actually, we were supposed to do it last year, but we couldn't do it because the project, the Rusinga Ring Road, the contracting process was not complete. This time, a few days ago, it was the first time a president had set foot on Rusinga Island. And it is the first time a tarmac road is being done as a ring road around Rusinga Island. Now, what had happened, if you want to know the significance of this visit, the tarmacking of Sori, Magunga, Sindo, Mbita Road is something we started with the former Prime Minister under Grand Coalition.
Yes.
The designs were done, the processes were started. It had not happened until last October when we went with the president. It had not happened. The ring road around Rusinga started over 4 years ago. And the contracting was slow. Eventually, contract was awarded, but never signed. So on this visit, at least that has been cleared up. Now, the next big thing we agreed with the president is the Lake Victoria Ring Road, which will start from Bumula all the way to the border with Tanzania. Some sections have been done, But there are many sections in Western, in Bondo, in Seme, parts of Kisumu, that have not been done. But the major parts that have not been done are actually in Suba South and Suba North, especially between Homa Bay and Mihuru Bay. So again, we've agreed with the President that because the designs are ready, the environmental impact assessments are complete, everything is done. We've been championing and asking that it be forwarded as a regional project around Lake Victoria to either the World Bank or the African Development Bank, who are very ready to finance it.
Yes.
And hopefully that will be done very soon, because it is a project that is ready. And those things can only happen on some of these visits, because he's able to see.
When an environmental assessment has been done,
social impact,
all those, and the contract been awarded. Now, what stalls the project from kicking off? I was in, so to speak, I drove on that road from Mbita, heading towards, just right after Mbita High School, towards Sindo, on 2nd of August last month.
Was there a road, really?
It's horrible.
There was no road.
It's horrible. And I don't know, but when you go, on paper, perhaps it has been tarmacked.
No. It has not been tarmacked. That is the one that is being done now. Actually, from October last year, when we went with the President, the contractor came and did the first 7.2 kilometers, because it's designed in milestones. It is 74 kilometers. It's supposed to be done in 10 milestones. The contractor does 7.4, raises a bill of quantities, he's paid, then he goes on again. So the first, after that visit, the first 7.2 have been completed. But the contractor had not been paid. And the contractor had raised an invoice of about 510 million. So right now, with the President's visit, money has been allocated to pay the contractor. And I spoke with the contractor about 4 or 5 days ago. He's already back. He's going to, again, rework on his machines the next few days. And hopefully, in a month's time, he'll be back to do the second milestone.
I believe it doesn't take the President to come back to your regions to inspect whether some of these projects are going on or not. It's now your responsibility as leaders down at the ground to make sure that these projects are going on. Allow me to ask this question, for example. Let me direct it to DG. If you start a project in Machakos County, whose responsibility is it to ensure that this project's going on? Because we've seen, a couple of people on social media are going around, an advocate, going around and actually giving an account of what the President and even the former presidents launched, but have not been done. Now, this one paints a very bad picture on the current administration and perhaps the previous administrations. But now, whose responsibility is it? The President was there in Suba. He's been there in Tana River. Perhaps he'll be there in Machakos tomorrow. So whose responsibility is that? I love that.
This is the saddest moment, because we need somebody to sit and plan for Kenya. And when you plan, you ensure there is something for each part of the country, because we have a constitution that demands so. If we will have to wait until the President visits for projects to happen, then I don't know what kind of country we are in. We are moving backwards, because we are going back to the very old, the founding fathers' era of going to kneel down so that something can happen as a result of your own tax. So I think we need maybe a leader, and I agree totally with the sentiment expressed by Tana River Senator, that as a political leader, you need not only to sit somewhere and plan, you need to pay a visit and see what is happening, because it is your responsibility. But overdoing it, I can tell you, it is a disaster. You need, again, to respect separation of powers. these agencies that are supposed to carry out these projects, and this I'm answering your question on whose responsibility, they need to be given space and time to do what they are supposed to do. It is the responsibility of our policy makers to ensure whatever they apportioned, they allocated in Parliament. If it is that irrigation, the hundreds of millions that are going to that project, they need to ensure the agency that is implementing that project does its work.
Yes.
It is not upon the president to ensure something is done. In any case, why do we have DCI and Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission? They need, if like what we are seeing, these audits, I'm sure eventually they will head to Parliament. And from Parliament they will head to some of these investigative agencies. It will be sorted out. We need somebody to sit somewhere and ensure these agencies do their work. So I think we are going backwards. And finally, I gave an example of the third president of the Republic of Kenya. Actually, he almost lost the election because of that sitting at the State House and planning and implementing projects for the country without him getting out. If you remember so well. He even lost a referendum because he was not maybe balancing, but where he placed the country. Look at the programs that he started then. None has ever matched. Okay? And the real programs, other than having projects that were launched 10 years ago, and up to date, it is only the emblem. That thing, this was launched, was, you know. So I think leaders, we need to have a change of tack. How we plan for our counties, constituencies, and even for a country. We choose either politicking or going to these people, you get their needs, you sit down, plan for it, and ensure every part of country has something before you wake up and start going everywhere.
Senator said there's a very thin line, DG. There's a very thin line.
Yes, but there is time for everything. It means you are a poor planner. If you are running everywhere, when nobody is running after you.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So let me ask you. We know there is time and a period for campaigns. We know people are planning. Those who are planning to oppose us in Machakos, we know they are planning and they are doing what they are doing.
Yeah.
But again, we have a duty. We have a duty to carry out development projects in Machakos County. We have a duty to over political leadership. We have a duty to bring everybody together. That cannot be done when you are moving out and you tend to think somebody else is coming after your seat and you are running all over in the name of launching projects. No. We need to change some of these things.
Look at it this way again, Mheshimiwa Karoli, because there is some sense of accountability. And one thing that Gen Z gave out clearly during the protest in June was accountability. And this one, most of the honorable members I've hosted on this show have talked about accountability. At some point, perhaps many of them took steps back and said, you know what, there is some sense here, accountability. Because many people, as he said, Senator said, that many people almost get punished because of unfinished promises or even projects in their areas of jurisdiction. And now the accountability now kicks in. As an honorable member of Suba South, generally as a nation, do you think Wanjiku is getting value for his money or her money?
Thank you. You know, a member of parliament has 3 roles. Legislation, which you do in parliament. Oversight, which we do in parliament. But there's one called representation. Representation is where you go and interface with various government agencies to get things done for your people. So, especially those of us who are in opposition areas, and where you see projects you started dealing with over 10, 15 years ago stalled, it is incumbent upon you to go and engage with those who make the decisions on these projects. And we are all aware that Kenya is in very difficult financial position now. That is a fact. We all know there's not much headroom in the treasury for development activities. So if, in my view, if you want to get some of these stalled things done, like what we are doing with the president in much of Suba South, even in this tour in Nyanza, were projects that were conceptualized, were ready for implementation, but were not being implemented. We are not looking for new things. Yes. So the dilemma you face as a leader is where do you can go to a PS, you can go to a minister, but the decision and the buck stops somewhere else. So it is, and some, you know how our political system has been tuned. You have a right to go and seek out the president and talk to the president and say, this and this is not being rolled out in my constituency. I need your help. Could you ask your people to work with me? When we first did that, we were almost killed. Yeah? You remember? We were so-called rebels.
Okay.
Yes. But that is the work of an MP. That is what his representation is all about. The problem is when accountability is missing, when things are started and not completed, if you do an analysis, the country loses more because you have money stranded there, and then you have contracts that are still alive that keep generating more expenses. You know, even if a contractor does not work but has equipment on site, he gets paid a certain amount of money. Yeah. So you have a situation like what most people don't understand with electricity. There's something called capacity charge. So whenever, if you have a contract to supply power to government, and I make my power available, if it is not consumed, I still get paid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, even MPs, I see struggling with it. It is the same concept with a lot of these projects. So it is better to go and engage and try and push. Now, I personally, I like what the Gen Zs did and what the Gen Zs are doing. I like a system where young people are involved and engaged in the activities of their countries and call out leaders and speak truth to power. And instead of seeking handouts, they seek a hand up. You know, this is what the Gen Zs are trying to do in this country. And any leader should really sit and understand what is it that these guys want. Even the young man, Morara, the lawyer, by going to take pictures and say this is stalled, what he may not understand is what is happening in the background. Like, I'll give you an example. Kabonyo Kanyagwal Fish, that project that the president launched last year in October. The money is coming from Hungary. And the problem is the Hungarian government and the way the loan documentations were done have not been completed. But the project will be on. Yes, so the contractor could not be on site as earlier planned because of the contracting arrangements. There were some loose ends that had not been properly tied.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Senator, because at the end of the day, there is also that sense of Senate doing an oversight to the counties. I believe as senators, you'll not go directly to the president to ask the president, you know what, you launched project X and Y in county X and Y or in region X and Y. But you'll also ask members of parliament, you'll summon them, you'll summon county governors to come and appear before the Senate to answer some of these audit queries, some of these projects that are stalled. What do you really think is the missing gap here? You start a project, you do a feasibility study, then you get a contractor on site. 10, 15 years down the line, nothing happens. So why would someone give you a contract, gives you a project, gives you money, and that you don't do it? Why do I go back to the president and say, you know what, this project was started 10, 15 years ago, but it's not going on? It begins with the planning stage.
Okay, maybe before I answer that, let me just say quickly that when we constitutional moment and we got a new constitution at independence, the fight was for independence, but not about accountability. Nobody talked about money. Then we had the second fight for the second I don't want to call it a revolution, but the second constitutional moment, when we got now a new constitution, the fight was about expanding the rights Why should the president be the one who appoints the judges, appoints the ministers? Why should my rights be limited? Why should we have only one political party? So we got a new constitution, the current constitution. But again, like the first time, there were no questions on the question of accountability, the question of how money is used. The questions were not put on the treasury. So for me, I think this push by the young people is focused on accountability. The questions that we never asked when we were looking for the two constitutional moments. So I fully support that we need to really focus on how our money is being used. How is it being collected, and how is it being used? What is the percentage collection? What is the percentage that is being used? And the young people have come up with very good, systems using the digital, the tracking system, and people are able to tell you this county isn't doing this, not just depending on what the Auditor General is saying. Some are even saying these Auditor General officers who go down to the county, some of them are giving good reports because they are compromised, So the truth is slowly coming to the light.
Yes.
And I think this is a beautiful development. It's good for our country. And if we keep it like this, Kenya now it's at 50-something, we are going to have a better country when we are about 100.
Okay.
So in terms of our oversight role as Senate, many times we have had difficulties with governors, because some governors have failed the people. And sometimes when you look at the problem, it is that the tools for enforcing good manners in financial management are not there.
Okay.
You find that the Senate will look at the reports from the Auditor General. They will ask the questions. The governor sometimes has answers for those questions and clarification, because sometimes they cannot account for this, but they say we need time to go and explain what questions you've given us.
Let's take a break.
But the problem is Senate cannot arrest a governor. We can only recommend. So if EACC or DCI doesn't arrest, then,
you shall have done your part.
We have done our part, but the people have not gotten what they wanted.
Let's take a break.
Just a minute.
Can I come back?
Just one sentence on the last comment.
Okay.
These are senior lawyers in this country, other than being political leaders. And they know if I was to appear in a Senate or any parliamentary committee and I don't make it, they will give Inspector General of Police hours to produce me in front of that committee. And it is legal. It will be adhered to. So the issue of someone not acting, I tend to have a different opinion with that of the senator.
Do you think Senator Mukatana can give IG that power to...
Yeah, the IG is independent. Yes. The current IG is independent. The Constitution is very clear. So even when you give them direction, they have to weigh it and see if it is something they can do.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. And we come back. He's in a pole position to be the next opposition leader. He's declared himself that he's the next opposition after Raila Odinga started to eye the AUC position. I'm talking about Kalonzo Musyoka, who is now saying that 23 members of Azimio have backed him to be the opposition leader. DJ, I hope you're happy with that.
I don't need to be happy. That is how it should be.
Let's take a break. You'll tell us more when we come back. All right, welcome back. So let's get into it. We've talked about the issue of accountability, the project the president have been launching across the country. Now let's get into the political bit of it. Now, there's a very thin line. So Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has declared himself as the de facto leader of opposition, and over the weekend he said that 23 members of opposition of Azimio have actually backed him to be the next opposition leader. The big question is, are we, or is he going to fit in Raila's shoe? Raila has been the opposition leader, but of course we know that opposition has got many many bosses, so to speak. They call themselves one amongst equal. They are the best. None of them is. But is Kalonzo Musyoka poised to fit in Raila's shoe? Mheshimiwa DG, you're a member of Wiper. I know you've been having your meetings. What is really happening in Azimio, specifically in Wiper?
Yes,
And the correction is, first is, before we went on break, there's something he said, like some of us who come from opposition, they are now more than the government itself. So I don't expect that kind of sentiment here. You know, here I'm very serious because I know I'm dealing with the government now, and I have to be very serious,
tell us how
very keen on what I say.
Yes.
So the question of Kalonzo, just once again a correction. It is not he declared himself. Political parties that form Azimio sat and agreed that the next senior most after Raila Odinga is none other than the former vice president, who was deputy to President Kibaki. When all these things were happening, Kalonzo deputized President Kibaki, and we want somebody who can bring back that moment that we lost along the way. So in this case, it is not like I've been seeing the way it is being reported.
Yes.
And I'm telling those who have since left, please go. Don't you want to go? You want to remain? You know, that's unfair. That's unfair. You cannot once go everywhere celebrating, praising the Kenya Kwanza administration everywhere, and you want to continue holding. You want to be in the government, and you want at the same time to be in the minority. That's not fair. That's not fair. Make a decision, and I think the decision has already been made that we move. Maybe we purchase ODM and we support them to go to African Union, which is also a challenge. Itazindikana huko mbele, wewe ngoja utaona. Lakini we wish them, tunawaombea, we wish them well. But on the issue of Kalonzo declaring himself, no. That one I say, please let us correct that misinformation. There is nowhere Kalonzo has ever declared himself. In any case, even if he were to declare himself, no one else has come forward to say, I want to lead. So we wish well those who have rushed to join Kenya Kwanza. Kenyans will deal with them as we progress. Yes.
Is that like a coup in opposition? Because when he spoke in Mombasa, flanked by, Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa, Jeremiah Kioni, etc., etc., and he said it. Is that like a coup?
Before he said, why are we ignoring what other leaders from Azimio said?
What did they say?
The sentiments were very clear from Eugene Wamalwa, from Mheshimiwa Kioni, everybody who was there. They were talking about leadership of Azimio, and they were very clear who that person is. Why are we, as those who are reporting that kind of, it is Kalonzo declaring himself, why are we ignoring that fact?
Okay.
So he did not, he spoke the last, and before he spoke, those sentiments had already been meant. There has been meetings on how the future of Azimio without those who have betrayed Kenyans. Yes.
So who is now the opposition leader of Azimio? Who's now the leader of Azimio?
The leader of Azimio, you have even pronounced him.
I have not said anything, sir.
That is His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. God willing, the 6th. President of the Republic of Kenya, God willing.
Mheshimiwa Karoli, are you vindicated? You were called manner of names. You know what I'm talking about. You decamped. He said that you are in government. You tell us how government you are. But do you feel you are vindicated? That all this is happening in Azimio, that a majority of people in Azimio said that you are rebels and all that. You left, and now here you are seeing this is happening.
Thank you. I won't even say I felt vindicated. There are elements where you even feel embarrassed because of the way people are conducting themselves. But anyway, let's put that aside.
That is...
yeah, let me put it this way.
Yes.
When we decided to engage with the president on development issues, it was an act of discharging our duty of representation. We never crossed over. We agreed we will work with the president to unlock the project activities that had stalled in our constituencies. And then we also agreed that we'll work on 3 areas. We want to see how we can improve governance by fighting tribalism in the country, how we can deal with corruption. And I've even, as I speak to you, I'm proposing a serious review that will lead to the enactment of Criminal Investigations Act. We don't have a Criminal Investigations Act, so I'm working on a Criminal Investigations Bill that will help with investigation of corruption cases. We also agreed we deal with economic challenges. Yes, things that affect, But we never crossed. That was a misnomer at that time. But that said, even some people in Azimio were already engaging the president. Some were even engaging him while we were still in the Supreme Court. Very senior people in Azimio. You know, Azimio has always perplexed me. By the time it was being formed, I wasn't very close to the networks that were around it. But did you know that I think the only registered member of Azimio is Raila Amolo Odinga?
What do you mean?
As an individual, I suspect so. I have a feeling all the others belong to their parent political parties that are in the Azimio coalition. But Raila is probably the only individual registered as a member of Azimio. I suspect something like that. But if you look at even Azimio, Kalonzo Musyoka is a special case. He's been with Raila for a very long time. And he has delivered. Whenever he has come along to support Raila, he has delivered. So he's one person who I think should be looked at differently. But if you look at the other members of Azimio, Raila lost in all their home polling stations. Where President Uhuru votes, Raila lost. Where Martha Karua votes, Raila lost. Where Kioni votes, Raila lost. So you wonder, I mean, this Azimio, what is it? So for me, I've not paid so much attention to it. And I studied, I've been with these people for a long time. I knew it will not hold for much longer. So I don't even want to discuss it too much. What you see, ODM and the rest who have decided to have some form of engagement with the government should proceed with their plans. And those in Azimio who want to retain it with its identity and continue doing their work like Wiper, they should be left free to do it. It is, I mean, you would understand what the feeling Kalonzo and his supporters would have, especially having delivered and having stood very firmly behind Raila. And now things have completely changed. But again, they have this NADCO report, which is supposed to create positions of leader of opposition, all sorts of things. Again, there are things that are still hanging around.
And even Eugene Amala did not even sign it.
Yes, but now they want that position created, leader of opposition, which is an oxymoron in a presidential system of government. So there are many, many things. But even the way ODM, my party, the way our top leadership also walked out, you know, our 2 deputy party leaders, our chairman, our minority leader, all joined government. If it was not for the contradictions of our politics, in any other self-respecting nation, that would have been considered to be something else. But Kenya is just Kenya. We just have unique politicians with unique habits, and things are going on the way they are. But what I urge is those in Azimio, let everybody find their path, let them pursue it, and let us not engage in unnecessary acrimony.
What do you make of this, Senator Mugatana? You are friends, you talk, you see what's happening?
I think Kenyans must start accepting that we are in a new constitutional order. And people clamoring to be called leaders of opposition are failing to understand that we are in a new constitutional order. Our constitution, our new constitution, is mirroring the American system of government, where there's only one president who is also head of state, and then there is a minority and a majority. Unlike in England, where there is a head of state who is the king, and there's opposition and there's government. And even in England, the opposition is a loyal opposition. You are not supposed to be against the state. So I think the confusion that has been brought recently of trying to make ODM look like it is in government is because of the way the appointment differences. The Republic of Kenya can appoint judges irrespective of their political affiliation. Okay? After the process of the Judicial Service Commission, nobody asks you where you are Wiper, you are in, PAR, you are in ODM, you are in UDA. Irrespective of your position, you hold that constitutional office. Irrespective of your position, you office equally. Position of your, be it faith, be it your political position, affiliation, you can sit at the Defense Council as a CDF, the Chief of Defense Forces, or Inspector General of Police, or all these people. So, and if you look at America, there have been people like Cabinet Secretary Henry Kissinger, who served different administrations. There is James Wilson. James Wilson to date holds the record of being the longest-serving cabinet secretary, and he served different administrations. Even in Obama's administration, he was a Democrat, but there was a Republican there, the transport secretary, who served in his cabinet. So I think what William Ruto did is within the current constitution. It's just that it has not been done in that manner. When people see, oh, you are appointing Mheshimiwa so and so, who was elected in opposition or is an opposition somebody, then there is a merger. In fact, that constitution is very clear. There's no merger. So what there is, even if you are a Republican and you have been asked to be the defense, for example, cabinet secretary in the U.S. government, everybody knows this person you are serving as a Democrat in a Republican administration. It doesn't mean that now Republicans and Democrats have become one political party. In fact, when Gladys Wanga was talking the other day, people were not understanding. When she said, we are still going to play our role as opposition, people are not understanding. But in fact, that is where Kenya is going. Yes. That's where Kenya is going. I remember very well that there's a governor, the governor of New Mexico. During first Obama's administration, he had been elected as governor, and he was being asked if he could come and serve as a cabinet secretary. And he said, no, you are my friend, we supported you here, but I don't want to come. Yes. So this is the thing. Going in the future, people must accept that we are living in a new constitutional order. That people can come from different talents from everywhere. And when the president is doing those appointments, he's doing as head of state. So you support the appointments? I support the appointments of those individuals. And I think Kenyans should start accepting the reality of this new constitution. Now let me finish by saying this. About Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka should not aspire to be Raila Odinga. I think that was your question. He really fit in his shoes. Like I've said, different leaders who occupy offices, depending on their personalities, they handle those offices differently. I've said for the president, equally for those people who are leading their political parties on the other side. When Mwai Kibaki was the leader of Democratic Party, there was DP, there was also Ford people that was being led by Matiba. Yes. And it's good to remind Kenyans that Matiba was like a cult following. Everyone, Matatus, Wea and Muranga, and a lot of people in Kenya, he was like a cult. You know, his name, he was the one who was going to remove Moi, according to the plans. But actually, at the end, Matiba said, no, we are not participating in these elections because there are problems. He tore his voters' card. So MPs were looking and saying, hey, we are not going to lose our seats because of this guy. They jumped to the leader who was quiet, who was not being in the road, being thrown canisters and whatever. They went there, and they were elected under DP. DP became a very strong opposition. And Mwai Kibaki was not in the streets doing what, and he ended being president. I'm saying this to relate it to Kalonzo Musyoka. Yes. you will make the biggest mistake if you try to be like Raila Odinga. Everybody is different. Play your role as a leader of Azimio. Do your thing. Don't try to mirror people. It will be the worst mistake. Let him do the things that, for example, that young man called Morara is doing. Do those things so that the government is kept on check.
Very good.
You don't have to come and, feed in
listen to the senator. He's talking about the late Matiba. He's talking about charisma and image. That is perhaps he's trying to portray. That Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka does not have the charisma and the image.
Absolutely.
As the two comparisons. What do you make?
But those people have been nowhere in our national politics. Just tell me one who rose and succeeded. That's why I don't want Kalonzo to be associated with such. Yes, personally. He is not the position of the party or Azimio as a coalition. This is my personal view. He needs to be Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the Kalonzo we know. The Kalonzo who prayed with the second president of the Republic of Kenya at the State House and still went for an opposition meeting in Thika. Okay? The Kalonzo who we know, once he makes a decision, he said he is not boarding. And Kenyans can see he is not. So he is on his own. There are no shoes to be filled. But you have seen the senator has difficulty trying to support ODM joining government, because that is what literally they have done. Mheshimiwa here was not he had a lot of challenges. He cannot explain here, but I know years from now you will write a book about it. Him and the group, they were branded as traitors. So now I'm wondering which is the biggest traitor here. Now, where the person they were being prohibited from talking to, from discussing development with, is now the same person who is being chased after. Even meetings are being now organized for him to attend. What? I don't understand. However, the point is,
I feel you.
The point is, we stood with the ODM, we stood with their leaders, we fought it to a man, and I can ask anybody here, including yourself, you can put for viewers to see how regions fought it in the last election. We, as a region where we come from, we fought it because we believed in Raila, and we have been fighting. In fact, in the last election, we fought it more than the Luo Nyanza fought it for Raila. Numbers can bear from IEBC how we fought it. Because we believed in him. If the time to move on is now and join administration that he did not believe in, then we say it is okay. There's something here which is very critical, and which I hope any of us will commend as we progress. Are we saying these youths who are demanding for better governance, improved accountability and transparency, some of them were forcibly abducted, have never been seen, might never be seen? Are we saying the price to pay them is to rush and join those who are perceived to have abducted them?
Yeah.
Is that what we are saying? Number two, Mungu Alali, we have been shown, with or without Raila Odinga, demonstrations can be held in Kenya against anybody, Mwangangi included. So, the country is moving on.
The country is moving on.
The country is moving on.
Okay.
But instead of this so-called the broad-based government, which is basically incorporating ODM, instead of going that, we should have listed the demands from the young people and the demands that took Azimio to streets.
Okay.
And on a point form, we sit down and say, as a government, this is doable, this is doable, this is not doable.
Right.
And we tell the country as such. Because it is a big betrayal on my part.
I want us to do this, because I only have 3 minutes to wind up.
Yes.
Kids are still at home.
Yes.
Second week. Exams are just around the corner, candidates. Kupet says that the demands must be met. Perhaps under 1 minute, kindly. Where do you make all this on? I know all of us, either directly or indirectly, have candidates to take care of.
Let me say this.
In 1 minute, if you can.
In transforming a country, in state building, there is no way you are going to have a country without very good systems of education.
Yeah.
Systems that work, that have good quality. So in this case, I think we needed as a country, as a government, to have engaged these unions early enough to tell them the true state of our economy and whichever problem that they have, we discuss with them so that we can clearly agree instead of having our students at home. Because currently, don't be lied to anybody, anything is happening with the education sector. So I think we should move very fast and address their needs and have candid discussion with them so that we can have normalcy in our education sector.
Thank you very much. Mheshimiwa Karoli Omondi, you talked to super people. They welcome the president, which is a very good thing. Again, he'll be welcomed again all over the country. I need to thank them as well as you talk about the issue of education as we wind up.
Yeah, I think for the education sector, what I would like to say is, a country's greatness is measured by its ability to solve its own problems.
Yeah.
This teacher strike is now becoming a phenomenon. Beginning of term, beginning of exams. I think it is time that both sides figure out how to have industrial action that is balanced, that is measured, but also the government to be responsive to the pleas and to the demands of the teachers. If you check what happens in most jurisdictions in advanced countries, strikes don't go on ad infinitum. That the learning calendar is completely disrupted, and they would go do it, create some balance, the government would be responsive. I think we need to be more engaging as a country. For the people of Suba South, I just want to thank them for welcoming the president a second time. Yeah. I think this is not the last visit. Our next visit now will probably be by Honorable Kindiki Kithure, where we want to launch the new sub-counties, especially in Sindo and in other areas. Great. I think that will be the next visit. I hope they'll turn in large numbers to enjoy that ceremony. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Senator?
Mine is just to appeal to the teachers. Please, you've made your point. TSC has also seen you've made your point. Now it's time to step back and give those people who are in administration to do what they need to do. I feel very bad, especially for students who come from a county such as our place in Tana River County. It hits us in a double way, because already we are disadvantaged. This is third term. And then traveling also to these schools is a problem. And when we reach, we are told go back because there are no teachers. I plead with them that they take a step back. Some of them are also parents like us. Take a step back and give TSC time to implement what they need to implement. That is my appeal.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I've also received an apology from Member of Parliament, Catherine Omanyi, who said that she was not able to come because she got an emergency, so she had to rush to attend. I understand how busy you get, gentlemen, so we give it to her. She really wanted to come. In fact, even the poster was out, so she's sent her apology. All right, we'll have her next time. But gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Kenyans are happy. There's a gentleman called Japheth Wabungoma. He says that he likes the panel. Sober discussion. Okay, so I also thank you, gentlemen, for waking up at that time of the morning, coming to talk to people. Your brains are always brilliant, and you talk to Kenyans, they understand what really happens. Thank you so much. My name is Victor Lo. DG Mwangangi, representing the great people of Machakos County. Karoli Omondi, Member of Parliament, Suba South, thank you so much for coming, sir, as well as Senator Danson Mungatana. Wakili, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. I thank you. My name is Victor Lo. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.